Welcome to another exciting episode of the $1 Million Peddlers. I'm Paperboy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
And it's going to be a really exciting show today.
Okay? It always is.
It always is. Today we're going to talk about how well you can get to know your niche. And there are certain niches that you absolutely know. And this came to me this morning when I was listing some stuff. Do you know who Margaret Sangster is?
Nope.
Exactly. And that's what came to my mind this morning. I was thinking, Mr. Magazine, no Margaret Sangster.
Sure, who doesn't?
I was listing a 1932 Christian Herald magazine. And when I was going through it, there was an article in it by Margaret Sangster. And I said, oh, there's my keyword. And then I stepped back. Exactly. That look you have in your face is exactly the look that 98% of the people out there have. What the heck are you talking about, Paperboy? Have you been drinking? Well, yes, I have. That's a whole other story. You learn your niche and you learn your area. And when you were able to deal regularly in the adult magazines, you could just take a look at an adult magazine and you could, a lot of times, they would have names like, oh, Candy or whatever. But you'd say, oh, that is so-and-so. Oh, that is so-and-so.
Yeah.
That is so-and-so.
Well, trust me, I still do it. I just don't do it on eBay.
Same thing with you and I can both do it a lot of times with sports. We'll just sit there and we'll look at a magazine, just a quick look of a magazine, be like, oh, that's Yogi Berra. Oh, that's, whoever, Roberto Clemente. Just quick, just a quick little glimpse. And we're like, oh, we know exactly who that is.
Well, even cards, and everyone knows the junk era. Well, so many people come in, and I can tell instantly they get mad at me. Like, I know by looking in a triple shoebox, monster box, whatever, that these are 88 tops or $91, and I know I don't want them. And I don't want to look through them and waste both of our times and say, oh, no, sorry. But when I tell them, I go, honestly, I got a ton of this. It's not worth much. And how do you know? I go, I can tell by looking. I'm like, how do you know? I'm like, well, I'm doing it for years, But they get mad, but... I don't want to be fake and phony and just act like I'm interested when I'm really not. So.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to is when you've been in a genre for a long time, a niche for a long time, you learn these things. Everybody has their own areas of expertise, and if you move them outside of it, if you moved your listers and you, and I'm kind of lumping you all together. You're not going to know what the proper keywords are in a 1930s Christian Herald magazine. You're just not. Every author is going to be the same to you.
Sure.
Certainly, you get back into the 1880s, 1890s, when I'm going through the table of contents, like, oh, that's this, that's that. I have done it long enough that I also have a general idea of world history for various eras as well. So I look at it and I say, oh, this is the right time that they might have a mention of, and I start looking for that in there as well. But you move me into a lot of the niches, like you move me into like skateboarding.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of Tony Hawk.
Sure.
How's
he recovering?
Yep. And then there's Tony Hawk, and then there's that guy Tony Hawk. And that's about the extent of my skateboarding knowledge. Now, you may know a lot more about skateboarding than that, or if you don't, one of your employees may. And that's one of the advantages you have is you've got multiple employees that you could hand, this one is really up on beach volleyball. And I just picked up a big collection of stuff with beach volleyball. I hand it to them, and they're going to know immediately who the stars are to sit there and note.
Yeah.
Any other areas like that you can think of?
You've had a lot of employees that be experts in horror movies.
Oh, okay.
I said horror.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure, yes. There's a new hire coming starting Monday, and that's her expertise as well.
So she would be one of the people that... Now, the only thing that you would probably need to do would be if you pick up a collection of magazines with various horror movies in them, teaching her what does and does not sell on eBay.
Right, sure.
And that is an area where I would make a big mistake. If you handed me magazines like that had, say, 4 or 5 different movies in them, they review them, they talk about them, et cetera, I'm probably going to go for the biggest name movie, which may or may not be the proper one to sit there and list. Right. Whereas if you've been dealing in horror movies forever, you know that this is a... Is that a cult classic?
It is actually, yeah.
Yeah. You know the cult classic versus the
Jennifer Aniston's first movie, but everyone knows that.
I had no idea, and now I do. Look, I'll give a perfect example. If you have if you have a magazine with a bunch of sci-fi movies in it, obviously Star Wars is a major keyword.
Sure.
What do you think? You've got a bunch of sci-fi magazines from the 70s and 80s, all listed in here. They got little write-ups about them. Star Wars, you definitely would mention. What would be your definite keyword that you would use?
Like an obscure one could be Logan's Run. It's one movie, but big following. So and it's rare. There's not a lot out there on it, but people collect them. So there's oddball stuff, and then like you said, Star Trek I wouldn't use.
Nope,
Star
I would
Trek
not.
very,
Star Trek
very,
is
very common.
As funny as it is, Star Trek is
Yeah.
exactly what I was thinking about that I wouldn't use unless I had a few characters left
If
over.
it was rare, obscure, or something like that. But regular run-of-the-mill magazine, forget about it. X-Files, forget about it. Stuff like that.
Aliens.
Aliens is hot.
Alien or Aliens.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
that is a definite one that I have learned from trial and error from doing this for years.
Mm-hmm.
You immediately list that, and that's one of the things too that you learn, not necessarily within your niche, but if it is your niche, you definitely know it.
Mm-hmm.
If you touch on it from time to time, you'll learn it.
Sure.
You'll learn what rock bands are. MC5 is a perfect example. They're a rock band that will sell stuff all the time, and the beautiful thing about it is they take up 3 letters. MC and a 5, 3 characters. Just same thing with any magazine with Sharon Tate. That will sell. That is just something or other that you learn. So I wanted to touch on that a little bit, that as you go deeper and deeper into your niche, experiment. Obviously, put up the obvious keywords. It's got Uncle Sam on the cover, put up Uncle Sam up. But when you've got a little bit of characters left over, put up something or other in there. Use up all the characters and put something or other up there. And if all of a sudden you put up Margaret Sangster and that sells, next time you see something with her in it, you put her name up. And if that sells, then all of a sudden, it only takes a couple times the light bulb goes on and you say, hey, Margaret Sangster might be a keyword to use.
It's probably a record for saying her name so many times in 10 minutes.
Well, I think the one that we've given before many, many times in Bolo videos and the like is Lulu.
Yes.
Louise Brooks. I mean, definitely, that's a first ballot keyword.
Yeah.
No doubt at all about that. You would use her over most anybody else in her. You would use the Marx Brothers before her, but not a lot of, if it's an obscure magazine, you use the Marx Brothers because they have a very big following as well. But otherwise, you throw her right there as well. And these are things that you learn as you've been listing within a genre for a long period of time. You tend to find out, hey, this sells within that genre. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. As you get deeper and deeper into your little niche, you'll learn these things. And definitely you just keep listing with those and you'll be amazed how often they sell. The other good thing about that, even if it's not the best of any keywords, even if you put it up, you'll be surprised every once in a while it sells because it sells along with 3 other things that you've put the same keyword up for.
True.
And then somebody will come through, and had you used that actor's name or actress's name, had I said use Paul Lynn's name in every magazine it was in, I may have sold every one of them. But I just happened to have used them as the keyword in 4 of them, and then it's like, oh, 4 of those sell.
Yeah.
Now I know there's a Paul Lynn collector out there, so he's going to be my keyword going forward. So definitely learn from your experience on that, and you'll definitely do very, very well in selling. We'll see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.